All right, this video is to show you how to set up your Notability so that you can annotate and do your homework if there was a worksheet to be done, to be completed, and how to send it back to Google Classroom. Okay, so again, start with self-service. Make sure you have Notability installed or Notability, okay, or reinstall it as you need. Okay, so you can see that it is a blue icon with a pencil there. And then once that's installed, go ahead and find it in your applications on your iPad. Okay, so notice that this iPad has, lots of folders already. It's a good idea to make sure that if it's not organized, make sure you put in dividers and things and subjects so that you create folders to organize them because you're going to be using it a lot, especially with distance learning. Okay, so right below where the clock is on the top left-hand corner, there's a plus button and you can create a subject and dividers there. Okay, so I'm going to show you on the next thing I'm going to show you is how to back up your iPad, your Notability files. So subjects will be folders when you back it up. Dividers don't get backed up. Okay, so dividers are kind of like your when you think about actual like index dividers when you have your binder, kind of like that, whereas the binders would be like the folders in a way, I guess. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but you can see here that you have he has a divider here for ninth grade and one for eighth grade, and then I made another one for ninth grade with a year on it. So all these are dividers and they're not going to get backed up, but these ones that are in color will get backed up. Okay, so those are going to be your folders where they actually house the files. So to back up your Notability, you're going to go to the gear on the bottom right. Make sure that you have Google Drive clicked on. If you've never done this before, it's going to prompt you to sign in to your Google account, which will be your ealani.org account. So log into that with your login, with your username and password. And then destination will be Notability. That's by default. File format, you want to change that to PDF actually, because this way you can pull in files from your drive into Google Classroom. It'll make your life much easier. Okay, close. So then you'll notice that it's going to start to back up right there and on the bottom next to the trash can icon. Okay, so it's going to take a while, especially if you have lots of files. If you don't have any files yet or very minimal files, it's not going to take very long. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is go to Google Classroom and notice that there is an assignment here that we're going to need to complete, self-habit, self-assessment. So this is a PDF. You're going to send it over to, so you see how I kicked it out? Send it over to Google Drive and then send a copy to Notability. And here you're going to create a new note. And by default, it usually is going to be an unfiled note. But if you know what subject it's for, I would put it into that folder right away so that it's easy to find. Okay, so import, done. Now go to Notability. So then you should be able to see that it's right there. Okay, what I want you to do is make sure you change this to your name so that it's easier to find. Okay. And then let's say you fill it out. I do this, blah, 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 right? And then I'm gonna maybe add some notes or whatever on the bottom. I'm doing this just to show you what to do next. Okay, so when you're ready to send it back to Google Classroom, you're gonna click on this square button with the up arrow, okay? And you're gonna click Other Apps, Page Range. Notice if you do this, you only wanna select the first page. The blue means it's selected because otherwise it's going to send the whole file, right? And this is going to be helpful when we do like lab manuals and things like that. Sometimes I only want the first couple pages or maybe the last 2 pages or whatever, and then you're not sending me back the whole thing, okay? So click back on that, and then we're going to share notes. And then you'll notice that Classroom is one of the options. So you can definitely send it back to Classroom that way. But just be sure that you go back into that assignment and mark it as done. Because if you don't do that, again, I'm not going to see it, that it's finished, and then I'm not going to grade it, okay? What I'm going to actually do here is the other thing. So I'm going to show that this is backing up right now, and I'm really hoping that this is actually going to get backed up super fast here. That I'm going to go to classroom. We're going to go back in here and go to add attachment. I'm going to go to drive. Then click on the lens icon up in the top right hand corner here, and I'm going to search for Ching. Okay, hopefully it will have, no, it didn't get backed up yet. But once it gets backed up, it will show up there. Okay, and then you can attach it from there. So you can see how you can attach, other files from your Google Drive that way. All right, so let me make sure this is, let's try to go to Google Classroom. Oh, the other reason you want to have your Notability backed up to your Google Drive is because if you end up breaking your iPad or you lost it or whatever, you want to make sure that it's, you have everything, you're not going to lose your files. Okay. So something seems to be wrong here where it's not connecting. So the other option you can do is, let me try this again. I'm going to close this and then open it up again. You can also save it to your files. You have an iCloud drive in your iPad, so you can make a new one and call it Notability. Okay, and then this way save it. Okay, and then when you go to Google Classroom and you're going to add attachment, you're going to go to File, Upload File there, and then that should do it. Okay, so that's probably the fastest, although it's always a good idea to make sure that you back up your files on Google Drive. Okay, and again, don't turn this off or don't close your iPad until you see that the file is attached there and that you can open it up. Because if you don't, that means that I'm not going to see it. That means it didn't get uploaded and you closed it and it lost connection. Okay, so that is the number one mistake I see in students is when they don't turn things in is because they just closed it right away and they don't double check that the file is uploaded. Now I'm going to click turn in because remember you got to do that, otherwise your file or I'm not going to be able to grade it because it's going to show that it's missing. Okay. All right. Let me know if you have questions.